Ever wondered how to install Arch Linux? You're not alone. It's a popular choice for Linux users who want a customizable, roll-your-own experience. Arch Linux is an independently developed x86-64 general-purpose GNU Linux distribution that strives to provide the latest stable versions of most software by following a rolling release model. The default installation covers only a minimal base system, lending users the freedom to shape the system to their own specific needs. This makes Arch Linux an appealing choice to Linux users who want to learn more about the inner workings of their operating system, or who just want more control over it. Arch's principle of simplicity means it doesn't add unnecessary additions or modifications, which can be an advantage for users hoping to learn about Linux or operating systems in general. Ready to dive in? Let's get started with the installation process. Before you can install Arch Linux, you need to prepare your system. This preparation involves a couple of steps. The first is to get a bootable USB drive. This handy little device will be the vessel for your Arch Linux installation. Next, you'll want to download the Arch Linux ISO. This image file is the core of the operating system, and it's what you'll be installing on your computer. For this, head over to the official Arch Linux website where you can find the latest version of the ISO. Once you have the ISO file, it's time to turn that USB drive into a bootable device. There are several software options available for this task, such as Rufus for Windows or the DD command for Linux users. Just remember, whatever tool you use, make sure to select the Arch Linux ISO as the source file. Lastly, don't forget about your internet connection. A secure and reliable connection is crucial during the installation process. You'll be downloading packages and updates, so you want to ensure that your connection is stable. Now that you're prepared, it's time to start the installation process. With your bootable USB drive in hand, you're ready to boot into Arch Linux. Let's get started. To boot from the USB drive, restart your computer. As your computer powers back up, you'll need to access the boot menu. This is typically achieved by pressing a specific key during startup, often F12, F2, or the delete key, though it can vary depending on your system. Once you're in the boot menu, navigate to the option that allows you to boot from the USB. This option may be listed as USB device, removable devices, or something similar. Select it and hit enter, and your system should start booting from the USB drive. As the system boots up, you'll see a bunch of text scrolling down your screen. Don't be alarmed. This is just the system loading all the necessary files. After a short while, you should be presented with a command line interface. This is the heart of Arch Linux, where all the magic happens. You have successfully booted into Arch Linux. Next up, partitioning your hard drive. Partitioning your hard drive is a crucial step in the installation process. Now, what does this mean? Think of partitioning as creating dedicated spaces on your hard drive for different tasks. It's like dividing a large room into smaller, more manageable areas, each with a specific purpose. Our tool of choice for this task is fdisk, a command line utility that's been around for decades. It's reliable, robust, and very capable. To partition your hard drive, you'll be using a few simple commands in fdisk. Don't worry, you'll get the hang of it in no time. One important partition to create is a swap partition. It acts as an overflow for your system's memory. When your system runs out of RAM, it can use the swap space instead. This can help keep your system running smoothly, even under heavy load. Remember, partitioning your hard drive isn't something to rush. Take your time, double-check your work, and make sure everything is set up correctly. It's like laying the foundation for a house. You need to get it right, or everything that comes after will be unstable. Your hard drive is partitioned and ready to go. Let's move on to installing the base system. Now it's time to install the base system. Installing the base system is like laying the foundation for your Arch Linux installation. The packstrap script is the magic wand that makes this happen. To get started, you need to run the packstrap script on the root directory. This command will install the base package, which is the bare minimum you need for your system. The base package includes essential items such as the Linux kernel and system utilities that the Linux shell relies on. If you're wondering, the base package does not include a graphical interface. That's right. Arch Linux is all about giving you the control to add what you want to your system. Remember, the packstrap script also generates the fstab file, which defines how disk partitions, block devices, or remote file systems are mounted into the file system. So don't forget to check the generated fstab file with the genfstab command, and make sure it includes the partitions you need. With the base system installed, you're almost ready to boot into your new Arch Linux installation. Stay tuned as we continue our journey into the world of Arch Linux. Before you can boot into your new system, you need to configure a few things. First things first, we need to generate an fstab file. This file is crucial because it defines how disk partitions, block devices, or remote file systems should be mounted into the file system. It's a bit like a map for your system, guiding it on how to interact with different storage devices. Next, we're going to set the time zone. This tells your system what the local time is based on your geographical location. It's important to get this right. Otherwise, your system clock could be off, which can cause all sorts of problems. Once we've got the time zone set, we'll move on to localization. This step ensures that your system uses the correct language and character set. While this might seem like a small detail, it can make a big difference in terms of user experience. Now it's time to create a new root password. This is the key to your system's kingdom, so to speak. It's the password you'll use when you need to make major changes to your system, so make sure it's something you can remember, but also something that's hard for others to guess. Finally, we'll install a bootloader. This is the program that loads the operating system when the computer is turned on. Without a bootloader, your machine wouldn't know how to start up your shiny new Arch Linux system. Your system is configured and ready to boot. Let's take the final step. You've made it to the final step, booting into your new Arch Linux system. Now let's take a moment to appreciate the journey you've embarked upon. But we're not quite done yet. The next step is to exit the root environment. To do this, simply type exit and hit enter. This will take you out of the root and back into the live system. Now it's time to reboot your system. For this, you'll use the reboot command. As you hit enter, your computer will begin the process of restarting. It's a moment of anticipation, isn't it? As your system boots up, you'll notice a few things. First, you'll see the bootloader menu. This is where you'll select Arch Linux as your operating system. Then, you'll be greeted by the login prompt. Type in your username and password, and voila! You're now operating in your brand new Arch Linux environment. It's a rewarding sight, isn't it? All your efforts have culminated into this moment. Congratulations, you've successfully installed Arch Linux. Now, the customization can begin.